Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, police kill 2 suspected terrorists in Katsina, rescue 9 abducted victims in Zamfara State. 9 years after abduction of Chibok girls, United Nations Children's Fund says 6,800 Northeast children subjected to rights violations. 200 shops razed, goods worth millions of naira destroyed in Port Harcourt market fire incident. And on the foreign scene, 4 staff to death, 11 hospitalized in Kenya after being manipulated into fasting by a pastor. Hello and welcome to Trust TV's News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Well, we begin in Katsina State, where operatives from Kurfi Local Government Division of the Police Department in Katsina State repelled 2 suspected bandits at Agwarwa village. The police, led by DPO of Kurfi, engaged the terrorists in a gun duel when they attacked the residence of one Sadikim Fulani in Damarike in Agwarwa ward. The police, after rescuing the victim, chased the terrorists away, with several of them believed to have escaped with gunshot wounds. The gallant police officers have also recovered all the cows rustled by the terrorists and 1 operational motorcycle. The spokesman of Katsina Police Command, CSP Gamba Isa, confirmed the attack, assuring that search parties are combing the nearby bushes to recover the wounded or more repelled terrorists. The command is appealing to residents to provide any credible information that may lead to defeating the terrorists and all their collaborators. And Trust TV reporter in Katsina, Abdullahi Yamadi, was there and now gives us an update on the incident.
You see, at the moment, residents of the affected village and neighboring communities are living in fears of another attack. The most recent attack was carried out at the early hours of this Friday. As such, many residents who fled to other communities for safety are yet to return. A resident of the village who pleaded anonymity said for over 3 years now, they have been passing the night in the nearby bushes. And of course, the situation, according to him, is unbearable, with many residents without any means of livelihood. The villagers who commended the police for their swift response anytime there is an attack, however, appealed to the relevant authorities to deploy more securities to the areas. The villagers say there is still the presence of some hoodlums they are noticing in and around their villages, a situation that calls for the deployment of more securities. The bandits move freely in and around the areas, heavily armed with dangerous weapons, and the villagers suggested that there is need for synergy between the security operatives or security agencies to enable them combat the ugly trend. They, however, commended the police for recovering their rustled animals. Of course, maybe by the end of tomorrow, we'll be able to have more updates about the situation in those areas where these attacks are being carried out.
Abdullahi Yamadi there with an update from Katsina. Meanwhile, the police in Zamfara State say they have rescued 9 abducted victims who were abducted at Kucheri village in Tsafe local government area of the state. A statement by the command's public relations officer, Chief Superintendent of Police Muhammad Shehu, on Thursday said police tactical operatives have successfully rescued 9 hostages comprising of 7 females and 2 males who were abducted on the 11th of April 2023. He said the rescue of the victims was sequel to credible information obtained from a Good Samaritan, which the police used to successfully rescue the victims unhurt. According to the police, the victims have undergone medical checks at its clinic facility in Gusau, debriefed by police detectives, and thereafter reunited with their families. The Commissioner of Police, CP Kolo Yusuf, congratulates the victims for regaining their freedom and assures the public of sustained onslaught against the activities of terrorists and other criminal elements in the state. Trust TV interviewed an eyewitness, and he has this to say.
Regarding adoptions and kidnappings of innocent people along Gusau Funtua Road is something that is of concern to residents of the two states. The 9 persons rescued by the police on Thursday were adopted on the 11th of April 2023, and that is on Tuesday. The neighboring village to Wanzame, which 85 persons were adopted last week Friday. Though the communities have said that they've contributed the money the bandits are demanding as ransom from the 85 persons before they can relieve the 85 persons. But yet, they have not released them. What they also said is that those that the bandit leaders have gave those captives that are in custody of those captives are also demanding that the community should also give them something. But they didn't disclose the amount that the community should give them. Worry because their loved ones have been in captivities for exactly a week now, and they want them back home, and they are praying daily when the family will return back to them.
Now, that was an eyewitness account of bandit activities in Zamfara. Now, the United Nations Children's Fund says over 6,800 children living in the Northeast have been subjected to grave violations of their rights. In a press release on Friday, UNICEF representative in Nigeria, Christian Madwate, lamented the brutal consequences of conflict on children 9 years after 276 schoolgirls were abducted in Chibok and 96 girls still in captivity. She noted the impact of the conflict on education is alarming, with repercussions likely to affect generations, stressing its devastating reality. She added that the recent abduction of 80 children in Zamfara State reinforces the urgent need for action to protect children in Nigeria. Explaining the devastating effect, Mandwate said since 2014, there have been over 2,400 verified incidents of grave violations affecting over 6,800 children in the Northeast. Speaking further, the UN body charged the government to rehabilitate all children encountered in the course of armed conflict or released from armed groups. Meanwhile, Amnesty International has decried what it describes as the utter failure of the Nigerian authorities to learn from the heartbreak of Chibok town in Borno State and ultimately to protect children. The non-governmental organization made the assertion in a statement on Friday against the backdrop of the 9th anniversary of Boko Haram abduction of 276 students from a girls' secondary school in Chibok. At least 98 girls are reportedly still being held by Boko Haram, and a slew of abductions have taken place since. Amnesty International noted that since the Chibok schoolgirls were abducted by Boko Haram, other schools have been targeted, with girls being abducted, raped, killed and forced into marriages. Acting Director of Amnesty International Nigeria, Isa Sanusi, said parents of the 98 Chibok schoolgirls who are still being held by Boko Haram, as well as other children abducted by gunmen, are living in anguish, knowing that their children are in the hands of ruthless individuals who subject their loved ones to chilling brutalities, adding that the missing Chibok girls should be returned home to their families and all those responsible for committing grave violations must face justice. And now to politics, where ahead of Saturday's National and State Assembly supplementary polls in Kano, the State Police Command has confirmed that it has made adequate arrangements to ensure safe conduct of the elections. Addressing divisional police officers of the command, AIG in charge of Kano supplementary election says adequate number of personnel were deployed to the affected local government areas to ensure a hitch-free exercise. Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibril reports.
These are divisional police officers across Kano State meeting to strategize how effective to police Kano, especially areas where the supplementary elections will be conducted this coming Saturday. According to the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Kano Election Security, AIG Ibrahim Sani, officers and men of the Nigeria Police Force in collaboration with sister security agencies have since been deployed to the affected local government areas of the state.
At all levels of policing, professional and proactive approaches shall be adopted. It is worthy to note that in all policing activities, community policing, partnership, support and participation will not be undamaged. In view of the affirmation, I hereby assure the good people of Kano State that the police, in conjunction with sister security forces, will ensure a level playing ground for all actors in the forthcoming election.
The AIG further warned politicians to stay away from inciting violence during the exercise, as police has since made adequate arrangements to prosecute anyone who may interfere with the peaceful conduct of the election process.
Security engagement shall be strictly professional, with zero tolerance for unethical conduct, corrupt and practice and right violation. I therefore declare an onslaught on all various activities within the state and pledge my dedication and commitment to public safety, by extension, the peaceful conduct of the forthcoming election.
Meanwhile, Police Commissioner in charge of Kano Election Security, CP Mohammed Gomel, reveals that over 300 electoral offences were recorded in Kano during the last governorship and state assembly election.
It is on the foregoing that all police commands have been directed by the Inspector General of Police to collaborate with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in ensuring that all these electoral offenders are expeditiously and transparently prosecuted, not only in the interest of criminal justice delivery, but in furtherance of the vision of the Nigerian Police Force to sanitize the country's democratic space.
It is expected that a supplementary election will be held in 2 federal constituencies of Dogwa, Tudunwada, and Fage, as well as almost 13 local government for the State Assembly supplementary elections. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
And still staying in Kano, the state's governor-elect, Abba Yusuf, has again issued a public advisory on alleged use of public funds to finance Saturday's supplementary elections in the state. This is contained in a statement issued on Friday in Kano by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor-elect, Sanusi Dawakin Tofa. The statement said the NMPP is in possession of credible information that Kano State Government has directed the release of 61 million naira to Dogwa, over 60 million naira to Nasarawa, and over 60 million naira to Wudil local government areas for the supplementary elections. While other local government councils are also listed to receive hundreds of millions of naira to fund the elections. The statement said that the money was released solely for sponsoring political thugs to unleash violence on innocent citizens and residents during the supplementary elections in the state. It warned that anybody found wanting in this scandal will face the necessary action at the most appropriate time. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Katsina has distributed sensitive materials for the conduct of supplementary elections in Kankia, Kankara and Kurfi local government areas. The rerun is for the State Assembly election, which was cancelled largely due to violence and overvoting during last month's exercise. Abdullahi Ahmadi was at the Katsina State INEC headquarters during the distribution process. Now reports.
The sensitive materials were distributed in the presence of representatives of political parties, securities, media and civil society organizations. Addressing journalists shortly after the distribution, the INEC Administrative Secretary Isa Magajigomi gave assurances that the outcome of the supplementary elections will be credible and acceptable. The rerun election is expected to hold in 31 polling stations across the 3 local government areas.
Yes. For Kankia, we have 6 polling units. Kurpi, we have 8. While in Kankara, we have 17 polling units.
INEC is saying effective security and restriction of movement in the affected local government will be enforced during the Saturday's rerun.
We met with the interagency security members, SS committee members yesterday with the Honorable Rec, and they assure us utmost security in all the local government affected by the election.
INEC is appealing to all stakeholders, especially voters and party agents, to be law-abiding and has given assurances that the elections will be transparent and credible. Observers say all eyes are on INEC to justify the confidence reposed in it to conduct a free, fair and credible rerun election. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, Kaduna State Governor Nasiru El-Rufai has arrived at the Yola International Airport on Friday in the company of some APC leaders ahead of Saturday's supplementary election. The APC chieftains are in Yola ahead of the Adamawa governorship supplementary election, which is scheduled to hold across 20 local government areas in 69 polling units. There are 42,785 registered voters for these elections, though records show that only 36,935 collected PVCs. On the other hand, the state constituency election will hold across 4 local government areas, which include Gire, Gombe, Numan and Tongo. And with less than 2 months to the inauguration of the members of the 10th House of Representatives, the race to produce the Speaker is in top gear. Over 10 members-elect are indicating interest to occupy the number 4 seat in Nigeria. In this analysis, our reporter looks at how zoning and other factors may influence who becomes the Speaker in the 10th Assembly.
The current National Assembly was inaugurated in June 2019 and the 10th is expected to be inaugurated at the same time this year. The race to produce the Speaker has thrown up more than 10 contenders, with the latest declaration of interest coming from a female contender, Mariam Onoha from Imo State. Onoha has asked her male counterparts to step down for her following her legislative expertise.
In almost all, about 90 positions of this country, the men have dominated it. Ceding this one position to me will be a way of proving that we are running an inclusive government.
The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, has met with some aspirants vying to succeed him, but is quick to point out that he has no preferred candidate. The Speaker, in a tweet via his verified Twitter handle, also denied backing Tajuddin Abbas, a lawmaker from Kaduna State, to succeed him. Gbajabiamila has refuted the report that claims he is working against other aspirants, including Idris Wase, the current Deputy Speaker. Rather, he says he advised the aspirants to be patient until the APC zones the position. However, lawmakers are seemingly divided over which geopolitical zones should produce the next set of leaders of the federal parliament.
I believe in the supremacy of the party. That is key. You can have your aspiration, you can dream. Dream is free. You know, aspiration, ambition is free. But it must be within the control of the platform for which you got to the house.
I think this is the second time in the history of Nigeria that we're having a Muslim ticket that succeed at the polls. And what that implies is Nigeria has grown past religion or ethnic sentiment.
What I want for the 10th Assembly, I want to contest for speakership. I've done it in the last assembly, where the president called us and said that, okay, he wants us to support Baja, where we sat down and really I supported Baja 100%. The way I move on with my colleagues, I don't think if I contest, I will lose. I have hope.
The contestants in the race, though vastly experienced in legislative business, may negotiate with the strongest contender if the ruling party insists on zoning the position of the Speaker to any of the 6 geopolitical zones. The new members-elect are predominantly greenhorns who do not understand the dynamics of how the parliament operates, which is why even the minority see themselves as the greater majority.
10th House of Representatives!
If the ruling party decides to zone the position, contestants from the Northwest, Northeast and North Central are likely to get to the finish line. But then, any of these 3 zones can conveniently produce the Speaker with zoning or no zoning.
Still with us on Trust TV's News Hour. Still ahead, we take a look at how to cope with Ramadan fast while multitasking. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us.
Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us. When you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
This November, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and unflinching excellence in the broadcast media. They have served and are still serving. It's time to say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. For more details, log on to www.tnbawards.ng and follow our social media handles at TNB Awards.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV's News Hour. Now let's recap our top stories. Police killed 2 suspected terrorists in Katsina and rescue 9 abducted victims in Zamfara State. And 9 years after abduction of Chibok girls, United Nations Children's Fund says 6,800 Northeast children subjected to rights violations. And in other news, Lagos State Government has stopped further work on the 7-story building under construction which collapsed on Wednesday in Highbrow Banana Island. The 25 construction workers who were trapped in the building have been rescued, and 16 of them who were injured taken to hospital for treatment. To facilitate the rescue operation, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on Thursday stopped all building construction processes in the island to give room for a comprehensive audit by officials of the Lagos State Building Control Agency. The State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, who disclosed this in a statement, said the state government had launched a probe into the incident. Said the Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, has visited the site and hospitals where victims of the incident were admitted, noting that the 25 persons rescued by LASEMA, 16 who had moderate injuries were admitted at General Hospital Oda, Lagos Island, and Police Hospital Falomo for treatment and care. The Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, on Friday said no fewer than 24 deaths were recorded in 166 road accidents in Gombe State between January and March. The Gombe Sector Commander, FRSC, Felix Thiman, said this in an interview in Lafiao, Akwa local government area of the state. He said 518 people were involved in the crashes, out of which 354 sustained various degrees of injuries, while 140 were unhurt. Thiman said the accidents were largely due to wrongful overtaking, failure to obey speed limit, overloading, use of phone while driving, and underage driving. According to him, motorcycles and tricycles were major contributors to the crashes within the period under review, with 128 of them involved in the accidents recorded. The sector commander appealed to motorists to be mindful of their speed and ensure strict adherence to traffic rules and regulations. The Osun State Police Command has arrested 25 suspected members of secret cults for attacking residents of Ile-Ife. Pandemonium broke out in Ile-Ife on Monday when the cultists went on rampage, vandalized valuable properties, and injured scores of people. Police swiftly swung into action, arrested the suspects, and detained them at the police headquarters in Osogbo, the state capital, for investigation. The Assistant Police Public Relations Officer for the command, Theophilus Adeshokan Adekola, said peace and orderliness has been restored in Ile-Ife after the arrest of the suspects. Some of the suspects confirmed their membership of secret cults, while some denied.
Concerning the issue that happened in Ile-Ife, where some suspected cultists vandalized properties and caused grievous harms to some members of the public, I would like to make it clear that normalcy has been returned to Ile-Ife and there is peace and order as we speak. And the suspected cultists arrested are still being investigated as we speak, and upon completion of investigation, they will be charged to court.
And in Kano State, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in the state's command says it has arrested no fewer than 93 suspects for various crimes in the state between January and March. The NSCDC's State Commandant Adamu Salihu disclosed this in an interview in Kano on Friday. Salihu said the suspects were arrested for theft, vandalism, and criminal breach of trust, among others. The Commandant reiterated NSCDC's commitment towards protecting and safeguarding all critical national assets and infrastructure. He enjoined residents to support security agencies with useful security information to keep the state safe, adding that security should be every citizen's responsibility. And now to Port Harcourt, River State, where fire has razed down property worth millions of naira in Ojoto Market, Mile 2, Diobu, Port Harcourt, that is in Port Harcourt's local government area of River State. The fire, which started at around 10 p.m. on Thursday night, razed down over 200 shops. The chairman of the market, Arinze Akupwe, who spoke about the incident, said he had to call people around the market to help put out the fire after he was alerted by a security officer in the market. Akupwe said he went to the State Fire Service for assistance but was referred to the Federal Fire Service. He said 80% of the market had already burnt down before the Federal Fire Service arrived at the scene. The market chairman also noted that the firemen were attacked by hoodlums to pave way for them to loot the remaining goods in the market. He said it took the intervention of the Azikiwe Divisional Police Headquarters to rescue the personnel of the fire service. When contacted, the Commander, Federal Fire Service in River State, Abdullahi Alpha, confirmed the attack of his men and their truck, describing it as unfortunate. Meanwhile, Trust TV's Victory Dozier gives us an update on the fire incident.
There was a fire incident at the popular Ojoto Market in Port Harcourt, River State. The fire incident was caused by faulty electrical appliances that ignited fire. About 200 shops were gutted by fire. And the incident affected and displaced many traders who were transacting business in the market. As it stands now, many of the traders are stranded and are calling on the state government to come to their aid. Some of the traders that spoke with me, with our correspondent, said that they have lost their entire livelihood in the shop. Many of them told me that to start business, some borrowed money from banks, some had their goods supplied on credit, and they are yet to return the proceeds of the business to the persons that gave them the goods.
That was Victor Dozier, giving us that update on the fire incident in Port Harcourt. Now, Muslim housewives have their hands full with increased daily tasks during the holy month of Ramadan, even as they are not exempted from fasting. Now, coping with these multiple tasks requires smart Muslim housewives to be creative and manage their time carefully to deliver efficiently. Hamid Oyegbadi filed in this report as put together in our studio.
Fasting in the month of Ramadan is obligatory for all Muslim men and women as prescribed by Allah. During this holy month, the role of Muslim housewives in their respective homes is more pronounced. As they battle the household chores, Muslim women also make supplications to Allah day and night to seek His blessings.
As a Muslim housewife and a career woman, I ensure that every morning I wake up around 3 a.m., wake up and wake my family members to prepare sahur. Then after the sahur, we go for the subuhi, the morning prayers. After the morning prayers, I prepare to go to work.
By 3:30 during Ramadan, perform ablution, do 2 rakah of nawafil. After then, I will move to the kitchen, prepare food for the family. Then after the sahur, then I have the growing children. So some will be sweeping the floor, cleaning the house, and before subuhi. After the subuhi, we move to the mosque. When I come back from the mosque, then I have to rest till 7 to 7:30.
This Muslim cleric is advising husbands to always appreciate their wives and give them special gifts after Ramadan.
The ability for women folks to multitask during the Ramadan period and their specialty is recognized by Almighty Allah in the Holy Quran, where they recognize them as women folks in Surah An-Nisa. And by this, our various men must understand that after Ramadan period and their activities of bringing family together, we need to show some level of love and care that bringing all the family together during this period is an effort that cannot be done without the strength of our Muslimah.
Meanwhile, it is the consensus of scholars that women who take good care of their homes, especially during Ramadan, would be favored by Allah.
We're still watching Trust TV's News Hour. More news after the break. Stay with us. Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV's News Hour. Right now, let's join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
Loans obtained by commercial banks from the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) surged by 204.71% in 4 months, signaling that they faced a liquidity squeeze during that period. Data from the CBN shows that the country's demonetization drive had triggered chronic cash shortages, pushing the deposit money banks to borrow from the central bank's standing lending facility. The size of the loan stood at 240.57 billion naira on Wednesday from 78.95 billion naira as of December 12, 2022, when new naira notes were launched by President Muhammadu Buhari. When compared with the figure in October of 2022, when the naira redesign program was announced, the bank's borrowing from the SLF rose by 7.95% from 222.85 billion naira. The federal government on Thursday said it had 13 trillion naira on subsidizing premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol, between 2005 and 2021. In addition to this, the country lost 16.3 trillion naira to oil theft from 2009 to 2020. Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Orji Ogbonnaya Orji, who revealed this in Abuja, said there was an urgent need to take decision on the removal of fuel subsidies. He said NATI records show that Nigeria between 2009 and 2020 lost 619.7 million barrels of crude oil valued at 16.25 trillion naira, representing a loss of more than 140,000 barrels per day. In the same intervening period, between 2009 and 2018, Nigeria also lost 4.2 billion liters of petroleum products from refineries, valued at $1.84 billion. And finally, travelers may experience flight disruptions as aviation union workers have threatened to suspend their services across airports in the country from April 17th to April 18th, 2023. In a memo signed by the leadership of the 5 unions, the workers said an indefinite strike would ensue if the 2-day warning strike fails. According to the memo, the warning strike would serve as a protest against the federal government's refusal to honor the review of their conditions of service as negotiated between the workers and 4 aviation agencies. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Mwafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka, for that business update. Now it's time for us to take a look at the foreign scene, where 4 people were on Thursday found dead and nearly a dozen others hospitalized in Kenya's coastal Kilifi County after being rescued while awaiting the imminent end of the world. The police said the victims, who are believed to be members of Pastor Paul Mackenzie's Good News International Church, say they had been told to fast to avoid apocalyptic damnation. The authorities said they rescued 11 people. 6 of them were emaciated and in critical condition. Police said they will resume a search for more members of the group on Friday morning, following reports that others were still in the forest. The self-styled spiritual leader, who was once a controversial televangelist, has been on the detectives' list for allegedly preaching a dangerous doctrine that encourages his followers to starve themselves to death in order to reach heaven faster. The pastor is currently out on police bail after he was charged last month over the death of 2 children whose parents are among his followers. President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo has ruled out political conversations with the M23 rebel organization. The group has started leaving territories it had taken over as part of a peace agreement that was mediated by an international organization. According to the deal, the M23 rebels must demobilize before going back to civilian life. The organization, which is widely believed to have Rwanda's support, had earlier stated that it anticipated holding talks with the Kinshasa government. According to reports, the peace process might falter if the president rejects that. About 250,000 people have been displaced by the violence over the past 18 months. The M23 rebellion was an armed conflict in North Kivu, Democratic Republic of Congo, that occurred between March 23rd movement and government forces between April 4th, 2012 and 7th November 2013. It ended when a peace agreement was made among 11 African nations and the M23 troops surrendered in Uganda. The rebellion was part of continued fighting in the region after the formal end of the Second Congo War in 2003. And a bus carrying Israeli tourists overturned on a rural road in central South Korea, local police told AFP on Friday, leaving 1 person dead and dozens more injured. Police said the bus carrying 33 Israeli tourists was traveling from the popular historic city of Gyeongju in the southeast to nearby Chungju when it flipped over late on Thursday after taking a sharp turn. The Israeli Foreign Ministry in Jerusalem said that according to South Korean officials, 1 Israeli woman had been killed with the rest of the passengers injured. Local authorities said the South Korean driver and tour guide were also injured and taken to hospital. South Korea's foreign ministry said it will provide all necessary support to the victims following a request from the Israeli embassy in Seoul. And in sports, Gombe United goalkeeper Itodo Ako has revealed that it will be difficult to beat the record for most clean sheets in the Nigeria Premier Football League this season. The Savannah Scorpions captain recorded his 6th clean sheet of the season in their 1-0 win against El Kanemi Warriors in their March Day 13 fixture. Ako, however, believes that with consistency and hard work, he can continue to aspire to achieve that feat. Adewale Adeyinka has the record for the most clean sheets, 16, in the MPFL, which he set in Awka United's title-winning season in 2021. While Remo Stars Kayode Bankole tops the chart for the clean sheets with 7 this season. And in tennis, Rafael Nadal has withdrawn from the Barcelona Open, saying he's still not ready to return to the men's ATP Tour. 36-year-old Nadal has been struggling with an ongoing hip injury that has also kept him out of the week's Monte Carlo Masters. Nadal, who is ranked 14th in the world, was diagnosed with a left hip injury after he was beaten in straight sets by McDonald in the second round in Melbourne. The anticipatory recovery time was 6 to 8 weeks, but Nadal will not be back in action at the earliest until the Madrid Open, which starts on April 25th. The 22-time Grand Slam winner remains a doubt for the French Open in May, where he is defending champion. Nadal has not played since he was defeated by American Mackenzie McDonald at the Australian Open in January. The Barcelona Open, which Nadal has won 12 times, starts on Monday and is one of the last big clay court events before the French Open begins in Paris on May 28th. Right now, let's join Adeni Ajishafe for sports news.
Niger State Tech Ball team has commenced preparation ahead of 2023 National Tech Ball Championship Tournament slated for May 2023 in Asaba, Delta State. Chairman, Niger State Tech Ball Association, Batako Lapai, expressed confidence they will come out with victory with the level of preparation of the team. Lapai said the technical crew are not leaving any stone unturned in making sure the set goal is achieved, as no team can match Niger State players following the level of preparation for the tournament. Tech Ball Federation of Nigeria are yet to communicate the date and venue of the championship to the participating teams. And still in football, Confederation of African Football CAF has started considering nations that will stage 2024 edition of African Nations Championship, CHAN. The African Football ruling body inspection team has visited DR Congo to inspect facilities on ground alongside Congo Brazzaville as joint hosts of the biennial tournament. The two Congos are being considered as joint hosts of the CHAN 2024 with hope to meet CAF requirements for standard stadiums, starting with the complete compliance and reopening of stadiums of the Matthias of Kinshasa and Frederick Kibasa Maliba Stadium in Lubumbashi. CAF team has been tasked with ensuring compliance of standard on work in progress and principle of good governance at FECOFA. Teranga Lions B-side the match winners of CHAN beating host Algeria by a penalty shootout at the 2022 edition in Algeria. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
You're still watching Trust TV's News Hour. More news after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV's News Hour. Now, before we go, here's a kicker. From Malawi to Nigeria, traditional leaders, midwives, local organizations and governments are conducting door-to-door and community-wide sensitizations to stop the spread of cholera across the continent. In this piece, we bring you some of the efforts of these stakeholders as they work towards reducing, if not eliminating, the spread of cholera in Africa. Let's take a look.
When water took over this place, the flood took over this place, we all relocated from this area. Then when water subsides, we came back. The first thing to do is we look for a machine, that is engine, to draw the water away from the well. Then when we draw the whole water from the well, we start using the water. Then we got a knowledge from this Red Cross people that we used to attend their meeting. They do help the community to do that. That's called aqua this thing. We treat the water, we pour it inside the well. Then after two days or 3 days, when we get money to purchase something.
We educate some of our women on how to boil their water before drinking. And those people that are able to access the water disinfectants, we educate them on how to use them. And thank God for the innovation of the borehole in the facility. Many households in the community were able to get access to good drinking water.
In the areas of intervention, we usually do a lot of sensitization, advocacy visits, and so on and so far to so many communities. And like the last case where we had this flood, we know we're going to have probably challenges of children being affected and even the old people living in communities, especially when it comes to water and sanitation program. We advise them, we sensitize them on the WASH program, especially the aspect of water purification.
And that's how we wrap up Trust TV's News Hour for tonight. Don't forget, for more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube. And of course, follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Have a good evening.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.